We begin the Gemara today on Daf Ayin Beis Amud Aleph, the 4 lines from the top of the Yamud, Amar of Papa. So the Gemara right before this brought the boundaries of Bavel on all the sides of Bavel. You have the Nahar Chidekel, which is on Mizrach of Bavel. You have the Nahar Pras, which is on the Ma'ariv of Bavel. And then the Gemara also brought the borders of Bavel going down north. Bavel is further down north and then further up south, closer to Eretz Yisrael. So the Gemara says about this, Amar of Papa, K'machleikes liyuchsin. There were different opinions before regarding the borders of Bavel. When it comes to Yuchsin, where can we trust the families that live there, that they have good yichus? Kach machleikes leyin gittin. Similar, the machleikes is also regarding the halacha of gittin. This is the halacha of the first Mishnah in Masechta Gittin, that when you bring a get from Chutz La'aretz, so the shliach that delivers the get has to testify b'fanei nichta b'fanei nechtam that it was written and signed in front of him. So over there, the Gemara said in Gittin that Bavel is excluded from this takana. That when a get that's brought in Bavel, you don't have to say b'fanei nichta b'fanei nechtam. So what's the borders of Bavel for that halacha of Gittin? So Rav Papa said it's the same borders as over here. Whatever the various opinions regarding Yuchsin applies to Gittin as well. Rav Yosef Amar machlekes liyuchsin. By Yuchsin, there was a machlekes about this. Avol Gittin, but when it comes to Gittin, and here the Gemara brings regarding one of the directions of Bavel. Before the Gemara said that Bavel extends, Shmuel said that Bavel extends until the bridge of Nahar Peras. This was going up all the way south by Nahar Peras that flows from Eretz Yisrael down to Bavel. So he said that there was a bridge that they crossed over. That's until where Bavel goes. So over here the Gemara says that Avoligitin Divri Akoil ad Arba Tinyana de Gishra, that Bavel only extends until the second pond or a second lake, a place where there was reeds growing over there, that's north of the bridge. That's further down, north from this. And this is the second pond or the second lake that's north from this bridge. That's until where Bavel is regarding Gittin. Amar Rami Barabe said, Chavel Yama, this area called Chavel Yama, Tchil to the Bavel. This is the crown or the glory of Bavel. Meaning regarding Yuchsin, this has perfect yichus. Shunya v'Guvya, then these other cities called Shunya and Guvya, Tchil to the Chavel Yama. They are the glory of this area, Chavel Yama itself, the best families of yichus there. Ravina Amar Af Tzitzura, that is, Tzitzura as well. Tanya Rami Hachi, we learned this in the Braisa, Chanav and Pinchasayim, Chavel Yama is Tchil to the Bavel, Chavel Yama is the glory of Bavel, Shunya v'Guvya v'Tzitzura, Tchil to the Chavel Yama. They are all the glory of Chavel Yama. Amar Rav Papa v'Ha'idna, however, now it changed. The Kutim, which was a nation that was Megayer and they weren't necessarily good Gedim, so they got mixed into the families there, and therefore you can't trust the yichus of these families. But the Gemara says, V'loihi, this is not true. Because we know that the story happened that Itzahu the boy minayu, that the Kutim, they wanted a woman to marry into their families, and they requested, but V'lo and they didn't give. The people of this place were careful. So because of this incident that happened, there was a rumor that Kutim married into the people here, but really it didn't happen. Mai Chavel Yama, what is this place Chavel Yama? Amar Rav Papa Zu Peros. Huh? Zu Perosu. Sorry, no, I went up one second. Okay. My Chavel Yama, Amar Rav Papa is Upras the Bursi. Yeah, okay. So the area of Chavel Yama is the Pras the Bursi, meaning it's by the river Pras, an area called Bursi. Hahu Gavre, there was an individual, the Amaluhu, he came and told people, Anam Shait Mishit. You want to know who I am, who my family is? I come from an area called Shait Mishit. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha al Raglov, Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha stood up on his feet, Amar, and he said, Shait Mishit, this area Shait Mishit, Bein Anares Aimdais. It's between the two rivers, the two big rivers of Chidekel on the east and Peras on the west. Bein Anares Aimdais, my have it. So the Gemara clarifies. So if it's between these two rivers, what does that mean? What's the significance of this? Amar Abaya, Amar Abcham bar Ukva, Amar Rabbi Yosef bar Chanina, Bein Anares Ave. Bein Anahadas, that is, that if it's between the rivers, Harehi Kegaila LeYuchsin. So that means that it has the halacha of Gaila regarding Yuchsin. Rashi says the expression of the Gemara Gaila means Pumpedisa. Most Yidden in Bavel lived in Pumpedisa, and what he meant to say is if you come from Shait Mishait, so then your Yichus is just as good as the Yidden in Bavel and primarily in Pumpedisa. Where is this place? Shait Mishat, Am Rab Yechanan, Mi'i, the Kira Ulael. It's actually an area in Bavel that's up south, closer to Eretz Yisrael. It's further up even from this place called Iyad Akira. So the Gemara asks on this, if it's so far up, so the Rabbi Yochanan ad Mavarte de Gizma. Rabbi Yochanan before said that Bavel only extends by that area where you pass through by Gizma, which is lower down. So how can we say that Sheit Mishait is still like the best families inside Bavel? Amar Abaye, so Abaye answers, true, it is further up, it's outside of this area in Bavel, but it's Sua Nafke. There was a strip of land that went around and went up further, and that's where Sheit Mishait is, and over there were good families. Amar Avike Barav and Amar Av Chananel, Amar Av Chilazin Nehavnet. This area, Chilaz Nehavnet, Harehi Kegaila Yuchsin. Over there, the Yichus is good, just like Gaila, just like Pumbedisa, which has good Yichus. Amalei Abaye said, Lo tatzisule. Do not listen to what Rav Ike Bar Avin said. And the reason he's saying it is because Yivami the Nafal Hasam. He had a brother that passed away there, and there was a Yavama that he had to marry. So therefore he was saying that area has good yichus because he himself had to marry a woman for that area. So he wanted to tell people that it has a good yichus. Amalei, so Rav Ike Bar Avin said, why are you not trusting me? Otu didihi? Am I saying something from myself? Did Rav Chananali? I'm saying over what Rav Chananel said. So Azul Shailul Rav Chananel. They asked Rav Chananel about this. Amaluhu, Rav Chananel said, he's right. Hachi Amar Rav. Rav said this. Chilazin Nehavnet. This area Chilazin Nehavnet Harei Kegaila LeYuchsin. Has a good yichus like Pumbedisa for LeYuchsin. But the Gemara says, "Upliga de Rabbi Bar Kahana." This opinion argues in what Rabbi Bar Kahana said. The Amar Rabbi Bar Kahana Ma'idich. What's the pshat in the pasuk? This is a pasuk where it speaks about the Aseres Hashvatim that was sent into Galus through Sancherev in the time of the first Beis Hamikdash. And the pasuk there says, where did he place them when he exiled them? Vayanchem, he placed them Bachalach, Bachabur, Nahar, Goizen, Va'orei Modai. What are all these places? Chalach, Zuchalazn. This place that we were discussing before, Chalazn, that's what Chalach is. Chabur, Zuhadayev, Nahar Gozen, Zugimzik. Orei Modai, Zuchemdoin, V'chavriseh. It's a place called Chemden and all the other cities around it. V'amrila, Zunahavnet, V'chavriseh. It's Nahavnet and the cities around it. My Chavriseh, what are the other cities around it? Amashmul, Krach, Moishchi. The city is called Moishchi, Chuski, Verumki. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, V'kulam, Lipsol. And all these areas where the Aseres Hashvatim were there, they're all puzzle. Now the reason they're puzzle is because the Aseres Hashvatim intermarried with Goyim. And therefore they all became puzzle. Now Rashi here clarifies, even though usually intermarrying does not make you puzzle, the child that's born, as long as the mother is a Yid, the child is kosher, the child is not a mamzer. But nevertheless, the Gemara says puzzle because the Gemara before said, child's not a mamzer, but there is a pagam. It's a blemish. So what do we see over here? What Rabbi Abba Bar Kahana said, one of these places was this place Chalazn, or Nivnad. And these were places that warped. There was a psul over there. So he's arguing with what Rav Chananel said before, that these places, the families are miyuchases. They're not miyuchases, they're intermarried with Goyim. Now the Gemara points out another detail here. Kasal Kedaitach, Daita, the Gemara thought that Moishchi, one of the cities it mentioned here where the Aseres Hashvatim were placed, was called Moishchi, Hainu Moishcheni. It's the same as the place Moishcheni. So the question is, if that's true, we had quoted before, he said, Moishcheni is a place that's like the Pumbedisa, like the Galus, which is good yichus. So how could you say Moishchi is a place where the Aseres Hashvatim were placed? Elos, the Gemara says, you have to say Moishchi Lechud or Moishcheni Lechud. These two places, they're different cities. They have a very similar name, but they're not the same place at all. Another Indian here, the Gemara says, huh? Are they close to Bava? I'm not sure. That's what it says. Maybe not. I mean, it sounds like it is because it's talking over here about these areas. These Tanaim were talking about areas around Bavel. So it sounds like Aseres Hashvatim were placed in these areas that are around Bavel. Okay, here there's a nevuah of what it says in Daniel, which is also going to connect this Inyan. The nevuah of Daniel, so he saw 4 different wild beasts in his nevuah, and those wild animals or beasts that he saw in his nevuah were hinting to 4 different places in Galus the Eden are going to go to. Galus Bavel, Galus Paras, and so on, until the Galus that we're in today, Galus Edom. So in the nevuah there, he saw Vitlas il Olin Bepuma, that he saw a big wild beast. I think this was, I remember, it was an animal that he saw, and there were 3 ribs in its mouth. Ben Shinal, it was between its teeth. So Rashi explains what the Gemara is going to address over here is, Bapuma sounds like that the 3 ribs was swallowed or further in its mouth. Ben Shina means right at the opening of his mouth, by the teeth. So the Gemara says, Amrab Yechanan, Zuchelazen, Hadaiv, and Etzivan. These 3 ribs that he saw in his Nevuah is a hint to 3 cities. Shepa'amim Baal Asan, sometimes it was swallowed by Bavel, meaning Bavel conquered it, it was under their rule. Upamim Pel Tasan, and sometimes it spit it out, meaning it was like by the teeth, because it spit it out, it was not under its rulership. Another thing he saw in his Nevuah, Va'aru Cheva Achre Tinyana Dami L'Daiv. Then he saw another animal, another wild beast, second one, and was similar to a bear. What is this referring to, this bear? This refers to the Persians. Goldas Paras. Tani Rav Yosef, Elu Parsiim, these are the Persians, Sha'ichlin, V'shaislim Kedaiv, they eat and drink like a bear, Mursalim Kedaiv, and they're big and fat like bears, Umagadlan Seir Kedaiv, they grow hair like bears, Ve'elem Menucha Kedaiv, and they can't stay still in one place, like a bear that's always walking around, never stays still. This is a Gemara that Rebbe quoted a lot of times regarding the Rebbe Rashab, the name of Sholem and Doiv Ber, that the combination of these 2 names, Sholem is the ultimate piece of the Eibishter, and Doiv Ber is a bear, to bring the piece of the Eibishter into the lowest place, into this level that the Gemara is describing here, a bear. Rabami, ki avachazi parse derochev, Rabami, when he saw a Persian riding, Amar hayne Doiv Naida, that what I'm seeing is similar to a bear that's moving around. Amalei Rebbe LeLevi. Rebbe said to Levi, Hareni Parsiim, show me what the Persians are like. Amalei Daimim L'Chayolis Beis David. They're similar to the army of Beis David, which were very, very strong and powerful. They're similar. Hareni Chavrin. Show me Chavrin, which was another nation that was similar, or they lived there also near the Persians, and they were much more dangerous. So he said, Daimim Malachi Chabala. They're similar to the Malachi Chabala, the Malachim that harm. Hareni Yishmaelim, show me the Yishmaelim. So he said, Daimim L'Seirim Shal Beis HaKisei. They're similar to the Shadim that are on Beis HaKisei. Hareni Talmidei Chacham Shebebavel. Show me the Talmidei Chacham of Bavel. What are they similar to? So he said, Daimim L'Malachi Asharis. They're similar to the Malachi Asharis. They went dressed in white and they were wrapped in white, okay, like the Malachi Asharis. Ki Havanicha Nafshe de Rebbe, says the Gemara, when Rebbe passed away. So Rebbe said, and this was sort of a nevuah that Rebbe was saying about the future of the yichus and the different areas in Bavel. So he said, Humanya, Ike Bavel, there's a place in Bavel called Humanya, Kula Aminoihi. It's an area that, in all the families there, it's filled with the goyim of Amayim that got mixed in. Mazgaria, Ike Bavel, there's a place, Mazgaria, Kula de Mamzerihi. It's an area that's full of Mamzerim. Birka Ike Bavel, and in this area, Shnei Achim Yesh, there are 2 brothers there, Shemachlifim the Shesem Zelazeh, they switch their wives with one another, so the children are all Mamzerim. Birsi the Satya Ike Bavel, there's an area, Birsi the Satya that's in Bavel. Hayoim Soru Me'achri Amakim. Today, the people there went away from the Eibishter. That's why it got this name, Satya. It means going off the path. And what happened? What caused them to go off the path? The Akfi Pire Bekavri B'Shabbata, because they had this pond where there was fish in it, and on Shabbos it overflowed with a lot of fish. V'azol Tzodabuhu B'Shabta, and they went and they captured these fish on Shabbos. V'Shamtinu Rabache B'Rabbeishia. And Rabache B'Rabbeishia, because of what they did, they were Machal Shabbos with Hasi, he went and he put them into a Shamta, into a Cherim. And because of this, they got so upset, they all went and they shma themselves, they went away from Yiddishkeit altogether. Then Rabbi said, Akre the Agma Ike Bavel, there's a place, Akre the Agma in Bavel, and Ade Bar Ave Yeshpa. There's an individual, Ade Bar Ave there. Hayayin, and Rabbi says, today, Yoshev B'Cheikai Shel Avram, today he's sitting in the lap of Avram. So Rashi brings 2 pshatim for this. This Ade Bar Ave, he says, either the pshat is Hayom Yoshev B'Cheikai Shel Avram, because that's the day that he passed away, and he went up Lamaila to Avram Avinu. Another pshat that Rashi says is that this is the Rabbi Ade Bar Ave, which was an Amayre. That's mentioned many times in the Gemara, that this was the day of his bris. And Rabbi Benavua, Rabbi was in Eretz Yisrael. And Rabbi with Ruach HaKodesh was saying that today is the day that Rabbi Ade Bar Ave had his bris. And Rashi says, if this is the Rabbi Ade Bar Ave that's brought in the Gemara, he must have lived a very long time. He had an Arichas Yamim, because he lived when 100 years, even more later, when there was the later Amirayim. Weiter the Gemara says, Hayoim Noilad Rabbi Yehuda B'Bavel. Today, Rabbi said, I think this is part of what Rabbi is saying, today, Rabbi Yehuda was born in Bavel. The day that Rabbi passed away, Rabbi Yehuda was born. The master said as follows, the day Rabbi Kiva passed away, Noilad Rabbi. That's the day Rabbi was born. Rabbi, when Rabbi passed away, Noilad Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda was born. Kishemeis Rav Yehuda Neilad Rava. Rava was born. Kishemeis Rava Neilad Ravashi. On the same day Ravashi was born. Lamedcha, to teach you, she'ain tzaddik nifter min ha'olam at she'nivra tzaddik ha'maisei. Tzaddik doesn't depart from the world until another tzaddik is born that's like him. Shenem, as the pasuk says, v'zarach hashemesh uba hashemesh. The sun comes up and shines when the sun goes down. So when one tzaddik departs from the world, another tzaddik comes and shines. At shleikavsa shimshu shel Eli, as we find, until the light, the sun, which was Eli, when he passed away and his son went down, so the light and the son of Shmuel Aramasi came up. The light of the Eibusher of Eli, before it was extinguished, the Shmuel was lying, and that's when he began saying the Vuah. Okay, so this was what Rabbi said, the Ruach HaKodesh, connected to the point we said over here regarding the different cities in Bavel, the Yichus. Now, one of these cities Rabbi mentioned first one, was the Rebbe mentioned there's a place called Humanya. Humanya, he said, is a place that had a lot of Amonim. Who were the Amonim? Amonim was that nation around Eretz Yisrael. They caused a lot of trouble for Yidden, and they're never allowed to marry into Klal Yisrael, even if they're Megayer. So here the Gemara says that these Amonim, they were in Eretz Yisrael, they were around Eretz Yisrael, but then they made their way down to Bavel, and they caused trouble for Yidden in Bavel. Tziva Hashem liYaakov, Sviv of Tzarav, the Eibusher commanded that the Yidden will have around them Tzarav, those that caused trouble for Yidden. Rav Yehuda touched that pasuk, Kagoin Humanya LePumnara. This city called Humanya, which was by Pumnara in Bavel, so the same Amonim that caused problems for the Yidden outside Eretz Yisrael, they also caused trouble for Yidden when they were in Galus in Bavel. Now the Gemara brings another pasuk, also related to the status of Yidden in Bavel. It says, Vayehi ki hinovi. This is a nevuah that says in Yirmiyah, or actually in Yecheskel, yeah. So there it says that there was an individual by the name of Flatyahu ben Bnyahu. Mace, he passed away. So it says there that Yecheskel ve'epel al panai, he fell on his face, ve'ezak kol gadol, and he screamed, ve'omar, and he said, Oh, ha Hashem Elokim. So he was crying to the Eibusher that Flatyahu ben Bnyahu passed away. So who was this individual? Was he a tzaddik? Was he a rasha? Rav Shmuel, so there's a machlekes between Rav Shmuel about this. Chada mar l'toiva. One is saying that this pasuk is coming to say how great he was. He was a good person. Chada mar l'ra. Another one says no, it's coming to say the negative, that he was an evil person. Man damar l'toiva, the one that says that he was good, what good did he do? So the story was as follows. Kiha, the standard de Mishon, there was the leader or the governor of this place Mishon. We learned before about this place Mishon. Mishon was a place of psulim. He was the son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar. So Shalach he sent his father-in-law to ask him, from all those captives, all the Yidden that you captured, that you brought here to Bavel, you didn't send any of them. They should be in front of us, that they should be slaves to serve us as well here in Meshan. So Nebuchadnezzar wanted to send from Yidden to go be slaves in this area of Meshan. Flatyahu ben Bnyahu, so he stopped it. He said to Nebuchadnezzar, Anan, the Chashvinon, we are so prominent, Yidden are so prominent, so we should be slaves for you over here in Bavel, by the king, by Nebuchadnezzar. Our slaves, the Avodim Kananim that came down together with the Yidden, our Avodim Kananim, them you can send to go be slaves for your son-in-law in Meshan. So he saved Yidden from having to leave where they were there together in Bavel to go to this area of Meshan. So here, this is what the Navi Yecheskel is saying. This Flatyahu ben Bnyahu, he did this favor for Yidden. Yamas b'chatzi yamav, he died at half of his life. He died at a young age. That's what he was crying. So this is the opinion that he was a good person. Man dama the other opinion says that no, that we find that he was a rasha, he was a bad person. Because the pasuk says, this is also Yecheskel, so he describes what he saw in the Beis HaMikdash. V'tava yisi al shah Beis Hashem HaKadmaini, ha'payne kedima, that goes to the Mizrach, ha'v'hine b'Pesach hashar, esrim v'chamisha ish, there at the gate he saw 25 men. V'ere b'toicham, amongst them was Ya'azniya ben Ezer, and this individual, Flatyahu ben Bnyahu. Sorei Ya'am, they were leaders amongst the people. And then it says about them, they came inside the Beis HaMikdash. The opening of the Heichal, between the Heichal and the Mizbeach, Ka'esrim v'chamisha ish. There were 25 people there. Achireim al Heichal Hashem. They were standing with their backs to the Eibishter. Upneim Kedma. And they were facing towards Mizrach. So the Gemara explains, what is this pasuk really coming to say? Mimashma shenema pneim kedma. If it says that they were facing towards Mizrach, which is facing away from the Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash is built on the Ma'ariv of the Azara. So any Yedeish Achireim Klapi Ma'ariv, don't I understand on my own that their behinds, their backs is to the Beis Hamikdash? Ma tamud loima Achireim al Heichal Hashem. Why is the pasuk saying this detail that their backs is to the Heichal? Malamed, because it's telling you something much worse that they did. Shahayu mafriyin atzmam. They would stand there in this place in the Beis Hamikdash, and their backs were to the Eibishter, and they were relieving themselves over there in front of the Eibishter. And one of the people that was there was this Flatyo ben Bneo, the Kama Navi. So the Navi said, Yisrael, one that did such an evil thing amongst Yidden, he'll die at a young age in his bed. So here, so according to this, Flatyo ben Bneo, he was a Rasha. So the Gemara before said, Rav and Shmuel argued about this, but it didn't say who said what. It says the Gemara Testayim, I'll bring you a raya, the Shmuel, the Amar Lera. Shmuel is the one that said that this negative thing about Platyo ben Bneo. The Gemara is going to prove that it can't be that Shmuel was the one that said what we explained before, that this Platyo, he caused that the Yidden shouldn't have to go into Golas to Meshan, but instead, who went to Meshan? The Avodim Kananim. They were the ones that were sent to Meshan. That can't be Shmuel. Why? Shmuel, Meshchani, Harehi Kegayli Yuchsin. Meshchani is like Gayli Yuchsin, which was what we mentioned before, that it has good yichus. And Mishain, what's with this place Mishain? Lechashula. So Shmuel said that Chacham were not concerned about this place. Lo mishum avdus. There's no avodim kananim there. V'lo mishum mamzeirus. There's no mamzeirim there. Ella. So why did they say that Mishan is a place of psulim? It's a different kind of psulim. Kainim shahayibah. The issue was that the Kainim that lived in this place, Meshan, like Pidu ala Grushes, they were not makbeh, they got married to Grushes, they got married to women that they're not allowed to, Grushes, and therefore the children were halalim. That's the only issue with the place Meshan. So now if so, it can't be that Shmuel agrees to what it says before, that Platyo convinced Nebuchadnezzar to send Avodim Kananim there. Because Shmuel clearly said that the people that were sent there were not Avodim Kananim. Adarabah, there was Kainim there, and those Kainim married Grushas. So the Gemara says, La'olam Eimelach, really I'll answer you, Shmuel Amal Taiva, that Shmuel could agree to what we said before, that this Platyo was a good person, and he's the one that had the Avodim sent there. Shmuel himself said that there were no Avodim there. So how could it be that Shmuel agrees to what we said before, that the Avodim was sent there? The answer is, once these Avodim were sent there, they were not Avodim anymore. Because Shmuel, the Taimei, Shmuel follows his reasoning. The Omar, Shmuel said, I think we had this earlier here in this Masechta. No, okay, we had it in Gittin. Hamafker Avdoi Yatzel Acheres. If a master declares his Eved Hefker, he goes out free automatically. Ve'en tzarach get shichrur, he doesn't need any additional get shichrur. Shanama, we learned it from the pasuk. It says, "Kol Eved Ish Miknas Kosef." An Eved that belongs to a man, he acquired him with money. So what does this pasuk teach? Eved Ish, v'lo Eved Isha. An Eved could be only an Eved of a man and not an Eved of a woman. What does it mean, Eved Ish? Ela Eved sheyesh lo rishus l'rabbi olav. If he's an Eved, which there's a man that has control over him, karei Eved. He's an Eved. Eved she'en l'rabbi l'rishus olav en karei Eved. If it's an Eved that his master has no control over him, so he's not an Eved anymore. He doesn't need any other shtar shichr. So now she explains here as well. What happened was Nebuchadnezzar took these Avodim Kananim and sent them down to Meshan. Once he sent them down to Meshan, their master have no control over them anymore. They were miyayish for them. They gave up on them. They become hefker. So once they become hefker, they're not Avodim anymore. They became Yidden. They became freed, and they became Yidden. So therefore, according to Shmuel, they were not Avodim Kananim there. Then now the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah at the beginning of the Perek. So what did it say in the Mishnah? That Bavel is a place that has very good yichus. Why? Because Ezra brought up all the psulim to Eretz Yisrael. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, Zu Divrei Rab Meir. This is Rab Meir's opinion. Chachamim said that it's not only in Bavel, but Kol Arotzais Becheskas Kashrus Heimaim Dais. All other places as well, not only in Bavel, but all other places, all other lands that are outside Eretz Yisrael, they also have a cheskas kashrus for the Yidden that are there, and they're miyuchas, even those that are outside Bavel. So the Gemara says, Ameimer, Sharalei Rav Huna bar Nasan, Ameimer allowed Rav Huna bar Nasan leminsav itze michuzyasa. He allowed him to marry a wife from mechuzah, even though mechuzah was out of the boundaries of Bavel that we mentioned before, but he allowed him to marry a wife from that area. He wasn't choishish for anything that's possible there. Amalei Ravashi said, "My daitech, what is your opinion? Why are you allowing him to marry a wife from there?" Dam Rav Yudah Shmuel, Zu Divrei Rab Meir, because of what Shmuel said, that our Mishnah that says that only Bavel there are no psulim, that's Rab Meir. Av Chachamim Maimrim, Chachamim say Kol Aratzis Becheskas Kashrus, same name days, all other lands are also Becheskas Kashrus, and therefore you're allowing him to marry from all other places as well, even Mechuzah. But by the yeshiva of Rav Kahane, they don't teach this way in the name of Shmuel. And by Rav Papa lemasniachi. By Rav Papa they didn't teach this way either. And by Rav Zvid lemasniachi. And by Rav Zvid they didn't teach this way either. All these Amirayim held that only in Bavel could we rely on the kashas of the families. But the Gemara says, "Afila achi lekibla minei." Nevertheless, he didn't accept his question that he was asking him. A meimer still held differently. Mishum deshmiele mirav Zvid de Neherda. He heard from Rav Zvid. This was a different Rav Zvid. Rav Zvid from Neherda, and he did teach in the name of Shmuel that even other places outside Bavel are also kosher. Mamzeri unesini. The Mamzerim and the Nesinim, Tahirim la'asad lavai. They're going to become pure when Mashiach comes, la'asad lavai. Divrei Rabbi Yesi, this is what Rabbi Yesi says. Rab Meir ain't Tahirim. Rab Meir says, no, they're not going to be Torah la'asad lavai. So Machlekes Rishonim about this Gemara here. Some Rishonim say that this is the same as we already had before, that Kidushin Nitma, a family that got assimilated into Klal Yisrael, and we don't know if they're kosher or apostle because we don't know, so they become part of Klal Yisrael, and la'asad lavai they'll be Tahir. That's what the Gemara is saying here as well. That's what many Rishonim say. Other Rishonim disagree though. Other Rishonim say, that's Pashat. That we already said before. Here it's saying, even those that are identified as Mamzerim and Esinim, that are Apostle, La'asad Lavei though, the Eibush is going to be Matayr them. They're going to become part of Klal Yisrael. So Amalei Rabbi Yesi asked Rab Meir, I have a source, because V'halei Kfar Nema, the Pasuk says, when Mashiach comes, V'zarakti, Aleichem Mayim Tahirim Utahartem. The Eibush is going to purify the Yidden, which means he's going to purify these families. Rab Meir said that's not what that pasuk is saying. The pasuk there says that he's going to purify Yidden mikol tumay seichem, from all of your impurities, or mikol gilulechem, from all of your avodah zarah. What does that mean? It means from any impurity or avodah zarah. But he's not going to purify Yidden from hamzeris. But Rabbi Yesi says keshehu aimer. But then there the pasuk repeats again and it says atayr eschem. That I will purify you, so it's repeating again, that Yidden will be purified from Mamzeris as well. So now the Gemara brings another pasuk, now it will be understood according to Rab Meir that Mamzerim, La'asad Lavai are going to be toy. This is how we can understand the pasuk that it says, V'yashav Mamzer ba'Ashdod, that La'asad Lavai, a Mamzer will be living in Ashdod, which means, Mamzer, because the pasuk is saying that the Mamzerim are going to be toy, La'asad Lavai. Sorry, the exact opposite. What the pasuk is saying is that even La'asad Lavai, they will still be Mamzerim amongst Yidden. They'll live in Ashdod, which is in Eretz Yisrael, but they'll still be Mamzerim. But Rabbi Yesi, according to Rabbi Yesi, Ma'vi Yashav Mamzer ba'Ashdod. What is the pasuk saying that a Mamzer is going to be in Ashdod? According to Rabbi Yesi, La'asad Lavai, there won't be any Mamzerim anymore. They're all going to be Toy. And says the Gemara, the word mamzer is not talking about mamzerim that are apostle. It means something different. Kedemetargim Rav Yosef, that pasuk means, like Rav Yosef said, Yosvin Beis Yisrael l'reichetzem ba'ar eyoin, that the Yidden are going to live in their land. They're going to live peacefully in their land. The have a damu behul in Uchrayim, and even those areas that Yidden were considered to be like strangers there. The term mamzer here is just a term used for Yidden that were like strangers, like outsiders. La'asad Lavai, the Yidden are going to live there and they're going to take over their territory. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Shmuel halacha Rav Yesi. We paskin like Rav Yesi that La'asad Lavai, the mamzerim are going to be toy. The Gemara says about this, Amar Rav Yosef, Yivlav, the Amar Rav Yudah Amar Shmuel, halacha Rav Yesi. If not for this, that we paskin like Rav Yesi, that the mamzerim will be toy La'asad Lavai, hava asi Eliyahu mapik minon tzavroni kularim. Eliyahu Navi would have came La'asad Lavai and he would have taken out groups and groups of Yidden that we think are part of Klal Yisrael and they're kosher, and he would have taken out groups and groups that are really not kosher. But passing like Rabbi Yosef, this will not happen. La'asad Lavai, all Yidden are going to be tired and kosher.